Hello and welcome. Today it's all about entrepreneurship, from science to society. And in today's case, it's about cold plasma, which is brought to Terra, the Earth, by Terraplasma, which is an excellent example how fundamental research can be applied in our daily life for the good of all of us. And I'm really very excited to be here today because I'm absolutely amazed and impressed how this small but excellent team is working together and what they achieve and obviously what you achieved. So my name is Andreas Reiser from the Max Planck Foundation. I'm an engineer and I'm an entrepreneur, family man, and I'm very excited now to talk to you, Gregor Morfill and Zimmermann. And maybe you can introduce yourself with a few sentences.
Ladies first.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Zimmermann. I'm a physicist and did my PhD in biophysics at the LMU here in Munich. After that, I joined Greg's group, so my dad's group, at the Max Planck Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics. We actually did a lot of research on plasma medicine. I started as a postdoc, and then after that, I grew up to a group leader. And we did great science at Max Planck. We had lots of money to do that. And then after a certain time, we decided to found Terraplasma together. And now I'm the CEO here at Terraplasma since, I think, 8 years or something like that. Quite a long time. We founded a daughter company, Terraplasma Medical, and we're actually going to found another daughter company, Hyped About Science, in January.
Amazing. Daughter company makes a ton of sense in your context.
Well, you never say son company anyway, huh?
Yeah, cool. And maybe also some personal words. I have a really great daughter. She's 14. I'm a single mom. So since 5 years now. Had a hard time in between, but now I'm happy again. So
looks like.
Okay, my turn next. I'm Gregor Morfill. I was director at the Max Planck Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics many years, and background physics, of course. Studied at Imperial College, and then moved to Germany. I spent a few years in Heidelberg, Max Planck Institute for Nuclear Physics, and then came back to extraterrestrial physics and became director there. The stuff that I did in basic research was varied. Started off with astrophysics. I also did a little bit of chaos theory, and then the last 20 years, plasma physics, in particular, the discovery of plasma crystals. So plasma, for those that don't know it, is the most disordered state of nature. And the discovery that you can actually make crystalline plasmas was a very big event in plasma physics. And there were many groups worldwide that started to join that particular research afterwards. The way in which this was done, maybe I need to get into the history a little bit, how we ended up doing medicine. The way in which this has to be done is you have to make a plasma out of 2 components, positive ions and negatively charged microparticles. And the microparticles are typically a few micron in size, so they're heavy. And on Earth, they tend to fall down because gravity plays a role. The other unfortunate thing about these microparticles, they are polymers. Because you want to have particles of all of the same size if possible. And they don't really like hot plasmas. They melt. So you have to have cold plasma. So the 2 things that came as a result of those properties. One is we wanted to remove gravity. The easiest way is to go into space. And we wanted to make cold plasmas. And so we developed a large effort at Max Planck in cold plasma technology, how to make cold plasmas, and what were the best cold plasmas for this particular research. Getting into space was a big adventure, of course. It was more or less an accident because I met Vladimir Fortov from the Russian Academy of Sciences, and he was interested in this research, and he finally made a deal with us and with the German aerospace agency that we could get a space for an experiment on the International Space Station. The German space agency was really flabbergasted at this because they didn't think it was possible to simply budge into an organization like that from the back door. But it worked, and the Russians installed the instrument in a place that was not designed for scientific experiments. I should say they had to drill a hole through the door from the space station in order to accommodate us. And since that was a security door, that was not particularly easy, and it was frowned upon a little bit by NASA. They weren't too happy. Anyway, it turned out that we had lots and lots of really good experiments on the space station. It's the third generation of laboratories is up there right now still, after 20 years. And I think we must be close to 1,000 publications or so from that research, yes. And so that was the one side, fundamental physics from Max Planck, that was a lot of fun. There were other things there that maybe we can talk about later, but more personal things. The important thing for this particular aspect was the cold plasma and the technology how to make cold plasma. So we built up a lot of expertise, and then the question came up. Hot plasma we know can be used for disinfection. It's no big deal. Anything that's hot is good for disinfection, and plasma is no exception. But cold plasma at room temperature can that also disinfect? So this is where Julia came in and joined the effort. And I must say, of course, because she's my daughter, we discussed at great length whether this was a good thing. But she was so excited by all my stories about how lovely and everything the research was that she said, look, I accept the challenge of working with you. I think the challenge was more on my side. So no, that was really. I'm a proud parent, so I was very happy that Julia joined us there, and that she was selected from the different people that applied for this position. And within a very short time, she had really organized the cold plasma medical side of things in the institute, which was not so easy because, Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics, working on the ISS was fine, but building up a research organization on the ground with medical people, biologists, microbiologists, then of course physicists, chemists, and so on, huge interdisciplinary, that was not so easy, and that in an institute that was basically designed to have experiments in space. So I was very happy that Julia joined us, and of course she is a very resourceful person, and she did that. So we ended up with, I think, about 40 people worldwide in this cooperation, some of whom we paid for, some we didn't. And we ended up also getting a fair amount of money from Max Planck for this new research. I think this was in competition. It wasn't just because we were there. And so we ended up with a really exciting group there. Also, I think a few hundred publications out of the plasma medicine side, plasma disinfection, which was good. Then came the situation that I was reaching retirement age and question what to do. We know with Max Planck, when a director retires, everything starts again, and the remaining directors decide what they want to do with the position, and the director that retires should really make sure that his resources are available. Some don't do that, but I wanted to free the resources, and I did that. So part of the group went to DLR, and the others, some left and got positions elsewhere. And the others, we said, okay, we start a company. And this was very naive. Maybe an example how naive. We went to the notary, and while we were there, a colleague from Max Planck Innovation told us, no, Gregor Morfill, you are still a director at Max Planck. You cannot be CEO of that company. Which actually turned out to be not true. I could have done that, but at that time, I didn't know. They didn't know better, but they thought that was right. So, a neighbor of ours who had just retired from his job in industry, I asked him, well, would you like to do that and you get a percent of the company? He said, yeah, why not? So we ended up with our neighbor as CEO and left, and we're happy. That's how naive we were, right? I think that's not the usual way it should be done. I think it would be much better if one had gone through an incubator or some organizational way in which you get led into this new era in your life, which it is. And okay, it was different in our case, but it worked out. That was the important thing. It worked out because we had good people. We had early connections with some companies, one very big one, Unilever, and we had a business plan that basically was a continuation of what we were doing at Max Planck, doing research for someone else rather than for ourselves, and this someone else was paying. So that's how we managed to get over the first few years, and here we are.
Amazing. Actually, there are quite a lot questions popping up. One is what you just mentioned. With your research, you set the foundation for Terraplasma, obviously. And you wrote a book about chaos. You said chaos is everywhere, and it works. And you see it in politics, and also in companies. Now, in 2011, you founded the company. You came from scientist and entrepreneur. So how is your view on chaos now, being an entrepreneur, knowing what a company is like?
I think my view on chaos, it was deterministic chaos, to be precise. The view on chaos is that life is chaotic. And there are lots of divisions in your life where you can go left or right. And what deterministic chaos is all about is you're walking on a hill with steep sides, and you either fall down left or right, and you don't know which side. And this happens several times until in the end you lose your way. So this is the basic idea of chaos. And I think this is the same thing that happens in life.
And also in entrepreneurship life.
Yes. And you can make mistakes. So you fall down into a hole, you climb up again. If you still have resources and strength, then you carry on. Then you fall down the other side and you actually find a piece of gold. And so on. And this is what I find how things do work. You have to interact much more with others than you do in basic research, because what you're doing has to be of use for someone else. In basic research, it has to be of use for increasing knowledge, irrespective of the purpose behind it. Not necessarily, but that's the definition. You just want to have more knowledge, and someone else or yourself can do something with that knowledge, but you don't really know where it will end up being made useful. This is true for all the big discoveries. When lasers were discovered, you didn't know what the whole range of applications would be today. When Einstein did his general relativity, this was great fundamental science. Now you can buy it in the supermarket. Every GPS device has to use general relativity, otherwise after half an hour it would give you completely the wrong place where you were. So, these things go unexpected ways, and in a sense that is chaos.
Good.
But I think the important thing is that you do not fall into the same hole again. So you make the mistake once, you learn out of it, then you try to go in a different way. And this is actually what we have been doing in the past 10 years.
I think there's this famous saying that stupid people always make the same mistakes, clever people always make new ones.
That's what we're trying to do.
We're trying to be on that side.
And it's important, as you said, climb up and continue. Yeah. Now, you both published papers. You did your publications. So what is more fun? Publishing something that gets a big audience, or opening or starting a company that's making a big impact out there? What do you think?
I think it's hard to answer. It's great to publish your own work and new knowledge which you produced, but I think it's really great to bring a product to the market which actually contains this research and where you are able to help people. So when we founded Terraplasma, we really wanted to develop a device which can heal wounds, chronic infected wounds, people who suffer since weeks or months or even years. With this device, we are now able to close these wounds, which were not closed before with other techniques or with other methods. So this was actually, for me, the point, bringing the research, which we carried out, to the people outside. So that's more fun.
Okay. Your view?
I think from the point of view of satisfaction, I always found it satisfying in basic research to actually solve a problem. And solve it to a sufficient degree that it would last out for a couple of decades, perhaps, until you find that you're not really solving anything basically, because there's new things and you can dig deeper. But this was very satisfying. In company life, What I find most satisfying is, and I agree with Julia here, that you're striving to make something where you know lots of people benefit from. Where you know, when you're doing basic research, you hope that eventually people will benefit from the new knowledge that you've gained. Here you know, and because you're doing it yourself. That is a big difference in the degree of satisfaction that you have from the work.
And I think this being said from your side, and we just had the conversation before where you published your crystalline plasma, which I think was amazing. Now when you say, I hoped this is going to change something, but now I know it's going to change something, I can see it, I can touch it. I think this is a quite strong statement.
I think in many cases people doing basic fundamental research and they find something that then at a later time gets used for the benefit of mankind. But they're not themselves involved in it anymore. So when you're deciding, okay, I've done basic research, there is a possible benefit there, and I want to find out myself, and I want to do it myself, to bring it to this stage where, and that goes much faster, of course, where it benefits humanity, then I think that is probably the ultimate in fulfillment that you can wish for.
A question to you is, you are a family person, you're a scientist, you're an entrepreneur, and, well, that's a family person, but you do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And I know running a company is hard, I know being a scientist is hard, and also know running a family is hard, but doing all this together, where do you get the power from?
The good thing is I do not need a lot of sleep. No, I actually like doing these things. I think that's the main point. And if you like doing science and if you like doing the work which I'm doing here, can I have you acceptance? I don't like quality management. Sorry, Sylvia. Yeah, so there are a few things, of course, which I don't like, but most of my work I love. And I love my daughter, so I love spending time with her. So then you actually have the energy for all these things.
Yeah, great. It helps if you have a good relationship to your daughter, obviously.
It was always so much fun working with you. I actually was so sad when you stopped 1 month ago.
Yeah.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
2 months ago, yeah.
Well, for me, in that same thing, of course, I have a wife, and she has been very supportive all through my life. Also supportive of Julia, of course, looking after Annie and so on. So I think you're never really alone when you're doing any of this, and you shouldn't be. I think in our case, because we're working together, I learned from Julia and she learned something from me, perhaps. And I think we really were able to merge the different sets of know-how that we have. Mine more in the direction of plasma physics, yours in the direction of biomedical expertise. And it starts off with even learning the language. It's like talking to someone from Timbuktu or so. Sometimes when you're talking to a medical person who is not able or willing to go as far as explaining what they mean with these different things that happen in medicine. And so Julia was the ideal interface between physics and biology and medicine and microbiology, which just worked out very well.
You're addressing something that's, I think, super important. What I see is when scientists think about starting a company, they're not really interdisciplinary. And what you just mentioned, that you kind matched your competences, you know how your backgrounds. And now where you say it, obviously this was for your success quite crucial, that you kind of got different perspectives and different backgrounds and put this together to found the company.
Yeah, I think this is a really very important aspect, because if you start a company, there are so many things you don't know, and you have to be open, and you have to get the expertise from the outside, talk to people, and so on. So this is one of the most important things, that you do not have to do everything on your own. Go out and ask the people how to do the things.
Now a question to you. Scientist and entrepreneur, both in one heart. Are scientists good entrepreneurs? And why?
Yes.
Yes? Good?
I think scientists are good entrepreneurs. They know what they know, and they know when they have to ask other people.
Good.
And they're not afraid of doing that. I think that's a very important thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So they have everything?
I have a more differentiated view on that. I think when you're a theoretical physicist, it's much, much harder to become an entrepreneur. Even if you say, okay, the way into entrepreneurship, there are different paths. You can go into a manufacturing side of things, or you can go into a software side of things. I think a theoretical physicist would probably be better off going into the software side of things. When I talked to Professor Glatthaar, who was in charge of, for many years, in charge of the software development for a big company, he said, whatever is done in basic research is only a fraction of what we have in our vaults unused in the company. And I'm not sure if that's right. There has to be something new that comes in, otherwise you wouldn't suddenly get things like artificial intelligence emerging and so on, if it was already all in the vaults of the companies. So I think, yes, but I think you would have to develop a different attitude than you do if you're just doing basic science. You have to be far more alert to what's going on around you. I mean, the same guy, Professor Glatthaar, he told us also, which is a very good thing, when you're talking to other people and they're helping you and they're smiling at you and so on, you know in the back of their mind the wheels are circling. How can I benefit from this? How can I pull him over the table and get what I want for nothing? So always be aware that's the basic person that's sitting on the other side of the table.
Okay. Yeah.
Watch out.
Watch out.
Sometimes true, yeah. Maybe not always.
No, not always.
Sometimes, yeah.
And I can imagine can be hard for scientists, because they are working in a different atmosphere. And then you're back on working together with people who are aware, if you're not by yourself.
Hardest lesson, I think. That was the hard
Expensive one.
Yeah.
Greg, there's a statement from you, and I'd like to read it. And the statement, actually, it's about basic research. It's exciting and great, but you don't know what it's supposed to be good for. And I'm reading it because my question would be, what do you think? Is this the reason why so many scientists shy away from starting a company? Because they don't see actually the benefit of their science.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very easy to see where you want to go next in science, in basic science. You have gone to a certain level, and I mean, there's some people that I know who right up to retirement were still working on their PhD thesis. Just the next step and the next step and the next step. As things get better, you get better computers, you can do things to a higher degree of accuracy and so on. And you can see those things. But the step to say, okay, what I've done here now can be used for something totally different. There you need either to be nudged from the outside by someone that you trust, or you somehow get an insight while you're under the shower.
Yeah.
This happens, a shower is a great place.
Time to think.
And so that's a much more difficult step than just following research step by step. But then there are scientists that change their fields. They start off doing one thing, and then after 10 years they say, okay, I can see ahead that I can do another 10 years and just improve the results better and better, but that's getting a little bit boring. I start something new. And then they start something new. I think those people are probably a little bit better mentally prepared for starting something really drastically new, like going into a company. And to some extent, that means that people like myself, who've been in research all their life, are not the best people for doing that.
But they can make it happen.
I see it differently.
They can, yeah, they can. But I think people who are younger, who've had the experience and have started doing something, and who get a bit of guidance and a path how they could do, I think they're probably better suited for starting a company.
Okay. Actually, I have a question on that, but you just wanted to say something, right?
Yeah, I actually don't agree, because he's young in his heart. And yeah, you can ask everybody here in the team about that. Yeah. So, yeah.
I assume it's a question of time, because basic research takes a long time to go to your first minimal viable product. And I think it's because you just somehow have to close the gap between finding something in basic research and then making this out of that.
Yeah.
So maybe it just takes a bit longer. And yeah.
But we actually also had a lot of support here from Max Planck Innovation.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So we worked with them together for actually many years when we did our research at Max Planck, looking into different application areas and so on. So we were really supported. Yeah.
Okay. So that means it's super not only beneficial but also crucial that you have an ecosystem around you that that supports you in your entrepreneurial approaches and your entrepreneurial journey, whatever it might be. In your case, it was Max Planck Innovation. Okay. Yeah.
No, I really agree with that. The help that we received from them, both before and also after we founded the company, even now, is really enormous. And that takes away a lot of the pressure, because you know that there are experts there. They've been through founding companies or helping to found companies, and you can always ask them.
Good.
And that's a very good thing to have.
Great. Julia, at the beginning of 2020, you had there was a tsunami in your life. And looking back, you're saying you, and you mean the Terraplasma team, are the reason why I look to the future with confidence and hope every day. Let's continue to achieve great things together. I mean, this really gives me goosebumps. Now, could you have imagined saying something like that before founding a company? I mean, saying such a strong statement about a team you build up. both of you built up. Can you imagine that?
No. So in 2020, there was a tsunami in my life. I got separated and I got a single mom. And then 1 month later, there was Corona. We went into the lockdown. My dad went back home and worked from home. And I had to take care of my 9-year-old daughter on my own, do all the school and so on. So I actually brought her here to Terraplasma every day, almost every day. And the employees, they were so nice. They supported me all the time. They did mathematics with her. They did the German stuff with her. They actually even did sports with her here in the rooms. And one of my employees, he built up a doll bed with her. So every time I was in a meeting, she was like somehow accompanied. And this actually gave me a lot of confidence for the future. So, and the team was actually great. Yeah, and really supported me during that time, because that was a real hard time. Even less sleep.
If you want to convince scientists to found a company, to transfer their science into society within one sentence, what would you say?
Okay, I would say if you have an idea and you think it works, try it.
Well, I would have just said, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it, yeah. You never know how it will go. Just try it.
Just try it.
Yeah, give it a chance. Yeah.
I think many don't dare. And it's always the first step. Just do the first step, and then after the first one, the second, the third. Just do it.
Start thinking about it, and then get the expert advice how to proceed.
And talk to others who already did it. I think that takes away a lot of the fear.
Yeah. That's why actually I'm very glad that you are here right now, because we want to inspire scientists to see it's possible. And I think sometimes they do not dare because maybe they don't see what's behind it. It's like a big obstacle and they don't know where to start. And then it's maybe, I don't want to say self-confidence, but if you are completely lost where to start, then it's, as you said, maybe good to find the right people to talk to and get the right inspiration.
I mean, you see one path ahead in science that seems very clear. Yeah. And you see another path where you can watch a couple of steps and then there's a big cloud. And there are people that tell you what's behind that cloud. I think if you're tempted to go that way, I mean, if you're convinced you just want to go the science path, then that's fine. But if you're tempted, talk to the people, find out what can be done, and get more and more involved.
And sometimes I think it's also good to be a little bit naive, because we were naive. Yeah, because it takes away the fear.
Also, if you don't have a clue what your science is good for, go out, talk to people, get feedback, and continue. And start, you can say naive, but also positive. Always believe in what you...
Yeah.
Okay. What would be the sentence you would recommend scientists? The sentence, wait, I have to rephrase it. Which sentence should just be deleted from the head before somebody starts a startup or thinks about starting a startup? So something like a mindset, something what is absolutely not helpful when you start your company.
Yeah, if you feel you want total security in your life, don't start a company.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the question is, do you have more security if you go to a big corporate, which can...
Maybe not, but the feeling is that if someone is already doing something for you, whether it's a big corporation or another research institute, you feel somehow in a community where you're not totally responsible yourself. But if you don't want to handle that kind of responsibility, then you should leave it.
I think you also should delete the sentence, I don't know how to do ... Because there are a lot of ... points, but you will always find somebody who can help you.
Yeah.
So even if you don't know how to do contracts, you will have people who you can pay or can help you. So I think, I don't know ... Yeah, delete that sentence, because there are so many things you don't know, but you will learn them.
When we were doing the medical research at Max Planck, of course, we benefited from an earlier connection that I had with a medical doctor, Willi Stolz, where we had worked on another topic, sudden cardiac arrest. And this is where we used the chaos theory for analyzing cardiology data. And we found by doing this, we were able to predict the possibility that someone would have a cardiac arrest much earlier than with the standard methods that were used at that time. And so when we had the idea of using cold plasma for disinfection, I talked to him and I said, what does he think is the most important topic to perhaps use this for? And he said, chronic wounds. So this is how we focused on that particular thing. And then we started developing the instrument for that. And we went through all the procedures with the hospitals to get permission to have clinical trials.
So I may interrupt. So you said this was still during your Max Planck time.
This was during the Max Planck time.
So what you basically did, you went out and said, hey, where can we use it? And you then got the feedback and just tried it also in the Max Planck Institute. So you started kind of product development, if you want to say so, within the institute to find out where's the benefit of this technology.
Yeah, we also hooked up with a Japanese company, AdTech, and this was interesting. The director of that company had visited Germany, and we were in a Japanese restaurant when we exchanged this information, and he said, I have a device where we can make plasma. This was a microwave plasma device. And so that became part of this new device that we ended up making. And the reason that I wanted to bring this up is that when we went to the hospital and to get approval for having medical experiments done and clinical trial, they said we should use clinical argon as a basis. Okay, so we built this large device, cubic meter or so, with argon bottles and so on in there, and made the tests and so on, and finally did the development on that. The good thing about that was that this went on for how many years did we do clinical trials? We had over 300 patients or applications.
I think 8 years or 7 years.
So this was a very long and very thorough cooperation with the hospitals for doing that. And of course, it was unique at the time. And that was also something that created worldwide interest in continuing research in that. Then, of course, we learned more. We found out that it's not the argon that is doing the work, it's the interaction of the argon with the air that is actually producing the reactive species that are responsible for disinfection and also for wound healing. And so we learned all this through experiments and also through theory cooperation with Berkeley on the numerical simulations, what reactions are taking place. And then we ended up doing this thing where we cut out the middleman, the argon, and used the air directly. And of course, that was a big advance.
Yeah, we did a little bit of miniaturization.
Yeah. We didn't use microwaves anymore.
We didn't use microwave technology anymore.
So, but the basic idea was to forget about the argon and go directly to where the reactive species are coming from and why. And so everything that is in there, all the technology is part of a carefully assessed system, how to manage whatever comes out here, has the right composition for the purpose that we are using it for, which is chronic wounds, for disinfection and also wound healing. So there are two different things where you would have to do the plasma in two different ways. Then the next stage is, okay, can we use it for different applications that are not just wounds? And well, the obvious thing is that any skin disease is an obvious target. So there are not just ourselves worldwide. People are using different devices to investigate different skin diseases. We also did herpes zoster and what was that? There was something that we had this one patient.
Oh, the Haley disease.
Haley disease, which.
But that's actually like it's not a skin disease, but it has skin issues, and it's a fungi, I think.
Yeah, it's a strange thing that this worked at all. But this was a patient who came to the hospital that we were cooperating with, and he had different affected parts in the skin, and he agreed that one part should be treated with plasma and the other part not. And the part that was treated with plasma was healing very well, the other it wasn't. Then he went on holiday and they both flamed up again. After he came back, he said now he wants all of them treated with plasma, and then he was treated. And after how many years is it now?
Well, he didn't come back to the hospital, and he's still alive.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
and he's not complaining about a thing anymore. And why this worked for Haley, we still don't know. But we know that whatever the products that are in there that are being produced by the plasma, they help the cells themselves to start healing. And so this is a support system in some way. And so, yeah, it was a natural to, from this big thing, you wouldn't use that around your nose or on your lips. Yeah. So to do something that you can use on your face. And so this has to be small. The plasma source can be made much smaller. So this scales linearly. And the whole electronics can also be made smaller. And so you end up with a small device where you can go and you can.
Yeah, and now I give you the nice design, because this was the first design. This is going to be the final thing.
Yeah. So.
I have to be careful because I didn't stick it together.
Oh. Then we decided to make this a little bigger, but to change the cover for making small things and for large things, so that you can go like this. But when you are using near your nose, you use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a smaller opening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and this is now for the consumer at home. So this is only the professional device, which can only be used in hospitals. And now we want to assess, we want to make plasma available for everybody. That's the next step.
amazing.
Yeah.
And For that, of course, this has to be a lot cheaper than that. This benefits from the development a lot from what went in here. So the development costs were much lower, and therefore the return of investment to cover the development costs isn't so high. So we can produce and sell this at a much more reasonable price for a consumer.
So maybe an additional question is from the ISS, where you did obviously some fundamental research, till this took a long time. Now you have your Plus, which is going to the market, I think in April, May.
Exactly.
Then you have the next challenge is the market access. Do you want to share something? I'm not saying whom directly you're addressing, but how, from the scientific side again, how difficult is it to address a market, identify a market and address a market, and also get access to on the market?
It's actually quite easy if you have the right people.
Exactly. I wanted to say the same thing. We hired a few good people.
The scientists should not try to do that.
Okay, that's also important.
Yeah, get the right people.
Find the right people. And then you're back in the communication. Go out, talk, and find the right people.
Yeah. So we're going to found the next daughter company, as I said in the beginning, Hyped About Science in January. We already hired 2 people who know how to assess the market, and we will hire a few more then next year.
Great.
Yeah, just don't try to do things that you don't know anything about. But that's...
Because we think this is so great. Everybody has to buy it. But yeah, presumably not everybody is going to buy it.
Now, looking back, is there something you would have done completely different when you founded your company? You said you were a bit naive, which is good because you just start and you don't think too much about obstacles. But is there something where you say, hey, if I would not have known this before, what would you have made different?
We had one critical point during the development where the company nearly had to be closed down. That was, we had a large contract from the Bundeswehr, so the military, for developing a device that must be the largest plasma device on Earth right now still, for disinfecting equipment. And this was a very large device. It's a contract of about €500,000. And the guy who was managing director at that time made a contract with the Bundeswehr, and yeah, we were all happy. We really enjoyed it until we found out that the contract stipulated that we would only get paid at the end. And so we had to find around €400,000 up front.
And finance them.
And we didn't have any investors. And I went to the banks and they said, yes, 11%, and we want you to guarantee this with your private property, the house that we had, for instance.
Banks are great.
And needless to say, I was not very happy about that.
No, actually, you were royally pissed off.
Okay, I didn't want to say that. Like Julia said, I was unhappy. And then, fortunately, my wife had just come into some money from her aunt who had died. And I talked to her and she said, okay, let's use that. And so we gave Terraplasma a loan at much better conditions than the banks. And okay, for us, it was no real difference. If we had got it from the bank, we would have had to pay a high interest as well as being responsible if it fails. So, but it was, of course, a vote of confidence in the company from Valerie and myself. And That's how the company survived.
Okay.
And after that, it really took off. I mean, you then managed to get different contracts, and we ended up with significant profits until, Corona came. And then things, of course, were hard again, but we survived.
Yeah.
Something you would have made different?
Yeah, there are a few things in contracts with investors which I wouldn't put in there again.
Yeah.
So my advice for funding rounds with investors, get advice from people who already did that, and also from good lawyers. Yeah. So there are some traps you can fall in. So we've made it quite good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wouldn't do these mistakes again.
Excellent. So then, thank you very much, the two of you, of this exciting talk.
Yeah, it was a fun day with you.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And yeah, thank you.